seats. She'll be the last thing you see before you die.
True story. I've had that vision.
So I just went through a lot of positions there, and 4 of those we've hired in the past year, and we've tried to keep people updated with hiring as much as we can. I just went through a lot of positions there, and 4 of those we've hired. You've seen us post the job description, and from there we receive a flood of resumes. We got like 105 for the count of communications. From there, all of us in the office kind of look over the resumes and kind of vote who we think is most qualified. We end up with like 15 or 20-ish. We take those top ones and we do a phone screen / phone interview for them to test for the basic core competencies. The 5 or 6 that come out at the top of that, we invite them in for either an in-person interview or a video interview if they're far off somewhere. And that's a 3 to 4 hour session of super in-depth questions, talking about leadership, interpersonal skills, prioritization, collaboration, and at the end of those interviews, if there's someone that's really come up on top, but we're not too familiar with them, I haven't met them before, we'll bring them in, fly them in, put them up so that we can meet them, spend the day with them, see what they're like. And at the end of that, if we're pretty confident that this is the right person, we present them as well as runners-up to the stakeholders that will be working with this person most. So for engineering, we had Rob talk with Vicki Earl a lot. For Ashley, volunteer management, she was talking with Josiah. Matt was talking with Ian McCombs. And we are in the final stages of wrapping up our communications hire. So with any luck, next week, it's the final stages. I'm finally excited. So I went over the employees and a quick overview of who our event leadership is. We got Mag Stock folk, Matt and Mark, Mag West folk, Dare. Where's Sheva? Sheva here? Sheva's right next to him. Oh, hi. BitGen is John DeCampos. He's not here right now, though. MagFest Laboratories, Joe Cooter, Jared Janowski? Okay. Donnelly, and Chris Hybe has been added to the Mag Labs research team. Is Chris here or no? That's it. Chris is the nicest person I've ever met. So since SuperMag is so goddamn big, we sliced SuperMag into divisions to try to get a rough logical grouping of all the departments in there. It used to be if a department in SuperMag needed help, they would just kind of ask somebody in the office for help, maybe. They'd email the office and someone would get to them. We tried to make a more stable, repeatable hierarchy line of communication for people to get help. Tronster Hartley from MIVS and Lauren Schwartz. I guess Lauren Schwartz was helping with Rock Island before. And events. And Lauren Schwartz is also a CA at GDC. So she's pretty good. Deborah was doing music, I was doing operations, Steph was doing programming, and Ashley was doing staff services. And I was kind of de facto doing comms because we didn't have anyone else in there. So over the past year, we hired these people, we added all these divisions, assigned all these roles, and we learned quite a few things from them. First, hiring is really goddamn hard. It took us about 2 months at least per position to hire because we wanted to make sure that we had the absolute right person to do it. Being a division head is incredibly hard. Even though it's tough to balance a clear chain of command or chain of support rather against bottlenecks. So it's tough to be able to figure out how we can make sure that people know who they can go to, but at the same time make sure that they can go to other people at the same time. Picking the division heads and getting them assigned to their departments was rushed. I know that right when we started, we just kind of said, hey, here's department head or division head, have fun. We didn't go through the time of proper relationship building with the division head and the departments they were working with. And it really would have helped to have like a division meeting where I do introductions to everything. People didn't really know who Tronster and Lauren were at the time. So moving forward, we want to make sure that we have healthy and active relationship management with the division heads and their departments. Another thing we learned with all of the new people coming in is that we don't have anything documented pretty much at all. I don't think there's any documented. And it exposes a big gap that when we lose people, we are highly reliant on institutional knowledge. And that is something that we cannot continue to be doing, because if one of us gets hit by a bus, then everything they do no longer exists, and we have to figure it out from scratch. So with that, not only do we have stuff undocumented, but we also had things that were moderately documented, were ill-defined, not always applied the same way. And so in general, our policies and procedures, we really had to go through and revamp, which we are largely progressing through. We're not done, but it's fantastic the progress we've come over the past year, and you'll be seeing a lot of that today if you haven't already seen it so far. But now one of the policies, procedures, the things that we keep pointing to, but haven't actually written down anywhere is the importance of preserving the vibe at MAGFest. What makes MAGFest special? We see MAGFest. We know we love it. We don't know why. If we're going to preserve the vibe, we need a definition as to what the hell the vibe is. As it turns out, other people do a thing called vibe, but you'll usually see it defined as core values. You might have seen Dom and Paul holding workshops over the past 2 years, trying to really pull out the what people value about MAGFest. You could say, oh, MAGFest is about video games. MAGFest is about video game music. That's our mission. That's what we do. But a lot of people do games. Surprisingly large amount of people do game music. But our values are what make us unique in the way that we accomplish those things. So it's important to point out the difference between a truism and a value when you're considering how we accomplish our mission. A truism is something that's pretty much universal. You can't say a truism is a value, because a value is something that if you did the opposite of it, it would still be a valid business strategy. We can't say, don't kill your fellow volunteers, because unless you're an assassin, that's not a good business model to go by. But you could say, for example, rely on donations and community contributions, and the opposite would be rely on sponsors, that kind of thing. Both very valid business models. One is harder than the other. One will make a lot more money, but there's still different ways you can go about things. So after 2 years of talking about the core values, we've actually finally settled on the actual list. The MAGFest core values are sincerity, support, participation, experimentation, and community. We're going to be talking about these for 2 whole hours if you want to really get into it and get your thoughts on them. But I'm going to kind of go over what each of these mean. And if this interests you, please do come back at 6 o'clock to talk about it more. So sincerity is something that, as I've gone to events, I've noticed what they lack, and as other people come to our events, what they keep telling me that they wish they had. And that's sincerity or authenticity. We do what we do because we love doing it. We're not trying to sell tickets. All of this stuff genuinely interests us, and we just want to show it off to the world. We have these passions, and we just want people to see them. And as we're showing them off to people, we want the people that share those passions to come share them with us. We're not booking the biggest bands and the biggest guests because we think it'll have the most draw or sell the most tickets. We are putting this content together because we think it's cool, and we want the people who think it's cool to come see it, not the people who just kind of have a passing interest of it. The next value is support. At MAGFest, we demonstrate a genuine desire for the success of everyone around us. When we see people that they're struggling, that need help, that could use improvement in some way, we actively contribute to the growth that we'd like to see in them. And it's not just for the people, but for the organization ourselves. If there's things that we think need to be changed, we all do our part in making that happen. Now, that involves a lot of honesty, a lot of hard truths. Some call that candor, but do not confuse candor with being an asshole. To be truthful, helpful, effective, respectful, you need to be able to make sure that you have the right tools to communicate these thoughts and feelings effectively, and that's something that Dom's going to be talking about during his presentation at 6. So in general, we have to be real and upfront with people, but we can't be damaging in the way we do it. And kind of a little bit of tangent, but as we talk about that, there's some great ways we can go about supporting each other and helping each other improve. And that's the staff satisfaction survey that we just sent one out recently, and we also sent one out a year ago. If you haven't taken it, you can still take it now. Eli's going to be presenting some metrics that he took based on the data based on a couple of days ago, but we can still rerun the numbers and update them. Last year, we wanted to see if we could start to get a baseline of how people are feeling about MAGFest, the organization, the community, the events, where we are. And the hope is over time, we can get hard data on what works and what doesn't, and maybe even add additional surveys throughout the year to get more granular data. And as I said, Eli's going to be talking about that. We're going to be taking the individual fields like your department head, your division head. We're going to anonymize those and send those out to the relevant parties, the department heads and division heads, to make sure that they get the right feedback back for them. But the important thing is that, if a core value is support, we generally want everyone around us to succeed, and we want to do our part to make sure that the whole organization succeeds. So I want to take a moment to talk about what is and isn't constructive feedback using some examples from the survey. And I don't want to air out other people's dirty laundry and show everyone else's feedback. So I'm going to be the sacrificial lamb here for a moment, and I'm going to show you all the worst feedback that I got from the staff survey. You get to see some lovely things people had to say about me. But the exercise here isn't supposed to be about me specifically. The point is that if someone approaches their feedback about me in that manner, it's likely that they're doing it to other people as well. So this isn't pity party for me. This is just an example of if you're talking people to this way, there are good ways you can help people, and there are bad ways to help people. So some good constructive feedback that I received. They gave me a 3 out of 5. They're worried about my reactions to difficult situations, and that I appear stressed. Which, yes, that is something that I am actively working on, as I've told you during a couple of mental health presentations over the past year, and it's something I'm continuing working on to better myself. And that's on me to show people that I'm able to do that. It's not that's not a unique thing that one person has noticed. If I get a reputation for that kind of thing in the past, I definitely earned it, and I'm not proud of it, and I hope I'm past it. But it's on me to continue to demonstrate that to people that I'm past that. Because if I can't do that, how am I expected to be a good leader? These two were anonymous, but they gave some quantifiable, kind of actionable feedback that I can go by. We had one that wasn't as fully descriptive, but to the point. It was also not anonymous, so I was able to talk with this person, and we can begin working on things to make sure that this person is satisfied with my performance. So I really appreciate these because these are actionable and helpful things that I can work on. There are other pieces of feedback that, while coming from a genuine place, I'm sure, they don't really provide enough information for me to act on to help improve myself. And if I don't have the information to help improve myself, if you're giving feedback to other people and you're not doing the same thing, how can they improve themselves? We got 2, nothing, anonymous. Another one, anonymous. 1, nothing, anonymous. 1, nothing, anonymous. Is a slight improvement over the years, but in general, a large step down from Dom. Definitely one of the major problems in the office when it comes to cliquish behavior and the general condescending attitude of the office. All right, this is something that this person genuinely feels. I don't have a lot of details, so I can't necessarily act on this. Like, if there's a general condescending attitude from me or the office, I can kind of ask people to be aware of it, but I don't have examples. I can't talk to this person. It's just kind of general venting, which they are in every right to do, but there's not a whole lot I can do with that information. Nick is incapable of connecting with the staff or community on a basic human level. He has made poor decisions and is incapable of admitting error or accepting any form of criticism as anything other than a personal attack. So the irony of me complaining about criticism that mentions my ability to take criticism is not lost on me. And I know it's something I've struggled in the past. But the rest of that feedback isn't terribly helpful. It needs something actionable, otherwise I can't really do anything. But no, so the act of submitting the feedback isn't wholly useless to everyone. These feelings that people have are valid, and the catharsis of sharing it anonymously, if nothing else, makes that person feel better, which isn't worth nothing. Like that's at least helpful for them. But outside of that, it would give me no real compass on how to improve. And I wouldn't be surprised if this person wants to express it in more detail or to me directly, but is afraid of repercussions. But like I have to continue to work on that. But there has to be a bi-directional trust. We need to trust each other while being respectful, and we have to be open and honest with each other. And again, Dom's going to go into details later about the tools we can use to do that. But the important thing is that the community improvement cannot happen without active and genuine effort of its members. I have a typo in there, don't I? Whoops, sorry. If you're not happy with the way things are, that is perfectly valid. You are absolutely within your right to not be happy with the way things are. But if you want things to be better, you need to be involved. You need to be active. You need to tell us what is wrong. You need to help us fix it. I can't just be better. We can't just be better. We have to know what it is we need to do better. We have our stumbles, and we can't always be as supportive as we need with each other. We'll lose our temper every now and then, but it's important that we recognize that we strive for that whenever we're able. I'm giving the benefit of the doubt to the people who gave the negative feedback and trusting them that they want to improve, but they're frustrated and they don't know how to improve, and that's why I'm talking about this. And I don't have a reason to believe that they just don't care. They just want to watch the world burn. They want to see it. But now, if for whatever reason they're not interested in actively participating in moving the big picture that they hold its contempt for, like they're not going to be happy here in general, and they're just going to be a drain on the people around them. And so as much as possible, take ownership and help build this into what you want to be. But like if you're not going to do that, I don't know what I can do for you, and I don't think other people are going to know what they can do for you either. So, with talking about, so that about wraps up support. So moving on to the next core value of participation. And this is one that's pretty upfront. You see that there's participation in terms of helping each other out, but then there's also just general content of the event. Like what's the MAGFest event built out of, the people that go to it. people want to do things, so we allow them to take ownership of it and create it and bring it to MAGFest. You know, that's how 3/4 of our department probably started, because someone had an idea, and so we'd say, okay, here's a room, here's $500, make it happen. So the jam space started, right? Well, no, you didn't get any money at all. You just had to bring all your own stuff. In general, we try to take it like in this egalitarian view to everybody that's at MAGFest. The attendees, the staff, the guests, the musicians, the employees, the board, everybody is supposed to be on the same playing field in their ability to bring things to MAGFest. And that's what makes it special, the fact that it's not just something the staff put on for people, it's a collaborative effort by all 20,000 people in the building to make that event. The next core value is experimentation. Do not be afraid to try to create new things. This, I should like bold and make this a heading. Failure is a necessary step in growth and development. If you do not fail, you do not learn. You do not get better. No, bad metaphor, never mind. Because you need to fail and accept that you can fail, you need to make sure that you can accept that other people can fail as well. People are going to make mistakes. Nobody is perfect. So if someone is being genuine, being sincere, and they make a mistake while acting in good faith, you can't come down on them for that. You can't admonish them. You should support them. You should bring them back up. But it's really not right for you to beat down someone because they weren't successful in doing something that they tried to do. And the last core value is community. With MAGFest events, I mean, I guess we've been around long enough that we've been fortunate enough to be successful and have enough resources that we can just take a carbon copy of MAGFest and just drop it everywhere, all over the world. But if we did that, you know, it wouldn't be sincere. It wouldn't be built by the people who go to it. One of MAGFest's one of our values is building the communities in the areas and allowing those communities to build MAGFest. Not only are we allowing the individual people to take ownership of the events, but we're allowing the communities to come use MAGFest as a place for them to grow and get larger if they otherwise didn't have a space. Sponsorships play into that. It's not that we don't ever take sponsors, not we don't ever sell ads. We very infrequently do it. But the important thing is that if a sponsor is going to be involved with us in some way, it has to be a partnership, and it has to benefit the community and not just make it financially easier for us. A good litmus test that Paul always says is, would we do the sponsorship if we weren't getting anything out of it? If we weren't getting any money, if we weren't getting any other tangible benefit out of it? Does it just make MAGFest a better place? If the answer to that is yes, then it's probably a pretty good move to do it. Now the core values are something that they are the things that basically immutable, I suppose, of the event. There are other things on top of that, things that are addressed in the mission statement, things that are commonly associated with MAGFest, but they're not things that are absolutely essential to what MAGFest is. And three common things, those are drinking, partying, exhaustion. These are things that people enjoy. They don't violate any particular rule. They're known to happen at MAGFest. They're not core. Like I'm not saying that these are things that aren't allowed at MAGFest, but they are not inherently part of MAGFest. And you can make it part of your MAGFest experience. But if you don't make it part of your MAGFest experience, don't admonish others for not making it part of theirs. So with all those core values, it's important. It's important to know that the purpose of the values isn't to say that, okay, you've joined MAGFest. Now you're part of us. Here are the rules that we want you to abide by. The core values of MAGFest are the codification of that feeling of why you're already here and why you enjoy it so much. And whenever there's a tough decision you have to make, the core values are a reference for you to look at to make sure that you're making the right choice and acting the right way. And for the most part, if there's a tough choice you have to make, and you look at the values and you see the right choice, and it's tough, but you'll say, oh, it's a pain in the ass, but it's how I gotta do it. And as much as possible, these are supposed to be, I won't say a lowest common denominator for everybody, but at least a base reference point at which we all, or at least we mostly agree is what MAGFest is. This is kind of like the basic tenets of the event, or the organization. And if you disagree with the values, it doesn't mean you're a bad person. It doesn't mean that you're performing poorly in your role in MAGFest. It doesn't mean you're a jerk, doesn't mean we don't like you. It just means that like if you're going for things that aren't what the core values are going for, you're just probably not going to be happy at MAGFest. And like with the support thing, you may drain those around you. Now, it's possible, you look at yourself, you do soul searching, and you're like, okay, no, I can get behind this, and we want to support you as much as you can to make sure you thrive and you're given an environment to succeed, to be happy. But sometimes there's tough choices, and sometimes we part ways, and that's okay. And then people find other places, and they're happy there, and that's fine. And so at 6 to 8, we're going to have airing of grievances. Some people call it oil change, is what some people call it. I'm sure you all have a lot of thoughts on each of these values and the details of them. As of right now, these core values are in effect. And if you're following along, the link to check them out was listed there. So please feel free to browse them yourself. I'll study up on them, and we can talk more tonight. So I'm coming up on the end of my time here, so really as quickly as possible. And Matt, what's up?
Just quick, this will probably be closer to 6:30. A little presentation before that, and then 6:30.
Right. Okay. Yeah. 6 to 6:30 will be like the tools, and then 6:30 and beyond is the using those tools. How can we get a productive discussion in our community? So I'm going to finish up. While I'm finishing up, Matt, do you want to come and start setting up your laptop while I'm talking here? I'm going to go over the calendar for this year. SuperMag's coming up in the beginning of January. I think it's the first weekend again. Have to make sure that all the hotel blocks are 100% locked down so that when we announce it, all the non-block rooms get yanked out underneath us. MagStock in June, BitGen in July, MagWest in August, MagLabs in September, and the Half Empty Energy Tank crew is doing a game over in Raleigh in May. Another big thing we have is we're doing the Smithsonian American Art Museum again. Part of I guess what we'll be talking about. I don't know if you include this in yours. One of the possible long-term goals for MAGFest is like temporary or permanent museum installations, either our own at our own physical space or possibly with the Smithsonian. So we've been really trying to foster a really good relationship with the Smithsonian American Art Museum. And so we're doing that again this year. And Dan Hill, if this works, has a message. Let's see if this works. Oh wait, I think the girl from Ipanema is still playing.
How long does it go for?
10 hours. Oh God, is this?
Listen to the whole thing start to finish.
Okay, let's see if this works here. Is it gonna work?
Hello, everybody, and welcome to MAGCon. I'm sorry I couldn't be there with you today. I just wanted to take an opportunity to invite everybody to be a part of our Smithsonian Sam Arcade event this year, coming up in good old, gosh, it happens soon. Okay. So anyway, I just wanted to introduce myself, let everybody know my name is Daniel Hill. Lots of people know me as Yellow Tie Guy. I am more than happy to answer any questions you may have about the Sam Arcade and the load-in at the warehouse, the packing day, getting everything sorted out, working with different departments. And if you have any questions, I'd invite you to reach out to me over here. Thank you. Bye.